Hence I tell you, O Ram, there is naught but the Turiya. The Turiya is unmodified consciousness, and that alone exists. Waking, dream and sleep are states of the mind. When they cease, the mind dies. Satva alone remains, which the yogis aspire to reach. So Turiya is consciousness. Satva is pure being, which is realization of consciousness. The waking state was described in chapter 120 as the first three states of yoga, which is immersion in the scriptures, self-inquiry and non-attachment. The dream state was described as the fourth state, which is the snapping of the bonds of conditioning. And deep sleep was the fifth state, which was described as pure awareness and the bliss that arises from that. And when we go beyond that, we've got the Turiya, and this is when the mind dies. But the mind never dies permanently, it's always kicking back. These 7 states of yoga will be explored in more detail in the next chapter. We were told that the Turiya runs through all these states, and this just simply means that it's accessible at any time. Whenever there's an opportunity, we practice, we do our spiritual practice, and this involves recognizing the Turiya and abiding in it. This is the conclusion of all scriptures, and there is no avidya, ignorance, and no maya, illusion in reality. Brahman alone exists. Some call it the void, others pure consciousness, others the Lord, and they argue among themselves. Abandon all these notions. We're not interested in conjectures about the notion of Brahman or about the Lord or God or anything like that. These are all notions. They're all created by our discursive mind. Rest in nirvana without movement of thought, with the mind greatly weakened and the intelligence at peace. Rest in the self as if you are deaf, dumb and blind. So movement of thought is about engaging with notions. We disengage from all notions. We let the attention rest in itself. This is spiritual practice. Inwardly abandon everything. Externally engage yourself in appropriate action. And to engage in appropriate action, we have to move away from pure consciousness. The attention needs to be involved with things. But even when we're doing things, there's always the possibility to come back. There's always opportunities to come back. It's going on all the time. The existence of the mind alone is happiness. The existence of the mind alone is unhappiness. There's no cause for unhappiness. I'll leave you with that one. By remaining unaware of the mind, let all these cease. In other words, we don't engage with it. Remain unaffected by what is attractive and what is unattractive. By just this much of self-effort, this samsara is overcome. By just this much of self-effort, I think that's what's implied. It takes very little self-effort to realize Turiya and to overcome samsara. By remaining unaware of pleasure and pain, and of even that which lies between the two, you rise above sorrow. Just by this little self-effort, you attain the infinite. The effort is minimal, but to sustain that effort is huge. To keep making that effort, that's where the real effort is. So we have to make this real effort to make a little effort. And that effort is massive. So the next chapter will have a further exposition of the 7 states of yoga, which is a description in more detail of simple spiritual practice.